Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're finally going to be taking a look at Corsair's first silent, bunny ears, bunnies, what does that make me think of? No, naughty. Yeah, Corsair's first silent case, the 550D, which is loosely based around the chassis of the 500R. But what we're going to do is, as ever, I'm going to bring you in, we'll take a good look around it, and then we'll get everything wrapped up in the conclusion at the end. So yeah, I need to be quiet, move the lights around, bring the camera in, and then we'll get reviewing. Right then peeps, as ever, we'll start at the top, at the front, top, front, that one. Anyway, we've got the power button in the middle here, as you can see, and then we've got the hard drive activity light to the left. Two USB 3s, which are on an internal header, but I'll show you in a minute. Reset button, and then the microphone and headphone slots. And when I first saw this, I was like, why have they done it a different colour? It's because the front is actually a door. But what I'm going to do is just zoom you back a bit, because yes, the door can go that way. And if I zoom go down a little bit, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 optical bay covers, but if we shut the door again, it's actually on a double hinge, so it doesn't matter which side of your desk that you sit on, you can put the case whichever side that you like. And there is more sound deadening foam on the door as well. I say more, but you'll see why I said more in a minute. If we scoot down a little bit, there's a front panel here. You can see the Corsair logo on it, but it's got one of their push clips on, which has yet again got more not dust filtering, sound deadening foam on. And then we've got a little front panel here which has got some dust filters on, but then it breathes down the side here. So basically, when the door's shut, there is just enough room for it to be able to pull air through, and there are vents at the bottom as well. And I say just enough, but we'll cover the airflow for the front of the case in the conclusion at the end. The front is actually aluminium. People always take the mickey out of the way I say it. So it does give the front quite a nice feel. Now, when you put the when you close the door, there's no like big clicks or clunks. It's only really when you take it off you've got that little bit of a jolt. But one thing I will say is, not only can you have it both ways, but you can take the door off altogether if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to, but the options are there. It's quite difficult to get it back on once you've got both sides off, but I'll just stick this all back together now quickly. There we go. So that is the front of the case. Moving on to the roof, where you would expect there to be like a fan panel or something, we've got yet another cover which is sprung loaded that you can remove. It's got even more of the sound deadening foam on the outside, on the inside. Now, what I will say about this sound deadening foam is it doesn't feel like the cheap microphone foam that I've taken the mickey out of other cases for using. This stuff actually feels more like a gel. You could literally sit there wanting to play with it. It's quite it feels like it should be sticky, but it's not, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But anyway, that's the panel in the roof. There's more dust filtering, and this panel is removable, and it looks like they've got little mini magnets on to hold them into place, which is a nice touch, because obviously these things can get quite wishy-washy. But we've got that, so if you were to be using the roof as an intake, you would be able to have that extra bit of dust filtering on there. Otherwise you'd want to remove them and have them as exhaust. In the roof you have got some fan grommets, which are quite easily removable, but that's so that you can move them out, because they come fitted for the 220mm fans, but you can also swap them around and have them for the 240mm fans in the roof as well. Now, I'm going to stick this lovely magnetic fan filter and roof panel back on, just to show you how easy it is to do it. I say how easy, and now I can't get it in. There we go. So that's that done. Now I'm going to move the camera and we'll move on to the side panel. Right then peeps, moving on to the side panel. We've got yet another spring-loaded panel that's removable with more sound deadening foam on the inside. yet another dust filter with magnets on that you can also remove. 220mm fans again, but you can also move the grommets out for 240mm fans. And then you've also got this large mount here for a 180mm fan. The 180 is pretty much smack bang over where you're going to have a single graphics card. Now, I would normally at this point take the side panel off, but what we first need to do is move around to the back of the case so that we can talk about how the side panels latch first. Right then peeps, moving on to the back of the case, just to cover things quickly, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PCI slots at the back, so that's for a normal ATX motherboard plus one spare. We've got 4 water cooling pass-through grommets should you need to use them. PSU in the bottom, it's got the mount so you can put the PSU both ways, which we like. Rear exhaust fan, you can either have a 120mm fan, which we've got fitted, or 180. I really need to get my tongue fixed today. 140mm fan. Now, what I said previously about we need to cover how the doors latch, because there are two buttons up here. Now, this is kind of where it is technically an Obsidian. They always have these lovely latching doors. So you press this button, and that's how you release the side panel. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and well, we'll just turn it around so I can show you. There we go. So you press the side panel button, and then that removes the side panel, and all you need to do is give it a lift. To fit it back on, there's 3 latches on the bottoms of the doors, and all you need to do is line them up with the slots in the bottom, push the button at the back, and that's it, it's on. Now, one of the clever things is all the way at the bottom of the door and all the way round the side panel, it's all this is quite a thick sound deadening foam on the inside. I actually really like this. If I try and get it and show you better, you can see that it's all quite thick. I really like this sound deadening foam, really like it. There's also rubber at the bottom of the door, as I said previously, to help stop rattles. And if you look carefully in the top, I'm not sure whether the lights will be able to pick it up, but you can see that the sliding mechanism for latching the doors on. Now, while I've got you there, and we're talking about doors, I'll slide round and I'll take the rear panel off. Now, there's not a massive amount of room round the back of the side panel, but as with the 500R that it does share a fair few similarities with, most of the cable routing is around the bottom and the side. You've got the kind of like a raised area where the motherboard actually sits. It's quite difficult to get any big cables around the back of this. But where you keep there's like a large recess at the bottom and all around the side, so you can keep all your cables around this area. It's fairly easy to do. It's made easier by the fact that we're using a motherboard that's not a full width ATX board here. But obviously you can put the cables through the grommets that are there, and it's a fairly easy task. There's more than enough room to get your fan cables, your 8-pin motherboard CPU power up, and like I said, a few Molexes or something around the back there, but you do have to give it a bit of a push. The good thing with these latches are, once they are all in place, it is really simple to get that door on, because you just latch them in the bottom, give it a bit of a push, and it all clicks in place. You've got no screws or anything that you have to mess around with. But I'm going to rejig the camera now quickly, and then we'll take a look at the business side of the case. Right then peeps, this is one of the areas where the 550D is slightly different to the 500R. Whereas the 500R has like an extra section of body kit in the top of the case that allows you to put either a set of fans or the H100 externally, the 550D doesn't. It instead has like an extension part to the roof, pretty much here upwards. If I put this up a little bit more so you can see what I'm saying. Pretty much here upwards is extra. It is technically plastic, so you could say it's a body kit, but it's almost like part of the case. But basically, you've got an extra 25mm of room in the top of the case, so you can get a H100 and a single set of fans internally, so that you can have the H100 in the top, and then the fans blowing into it, and then exhausting out of the case. I think personally, a lot of people say, oh, you can put the fans outside, and then you could have push-pull on the H100. I think it would look silly, to be honest with you. And like I said, I would put the H100 in the roof if you were going to use one, and then have the fans on the bottom blowing into the case. As you can see, we've got the H80 fitted at this present moment in time though, with push-pull, and that fits perfectly fine over the board and stuff, so you've got no worries there. One thing I would say is that there is I know you're not going to want to, but there is enough room. The H80 only just sort of skims the motherboard, so you could still get the H100 above it. Now, I'm not saying that because, like I said, you're going to. I'm just saying it's possible, to give you an idea of the room there. So for argument's sake, if you were running the H80, you could still comfortably get a set of fans in the roof for exhaust, and there'd be enough breathing room above the like the radiator area of the H80 to still be able to, the fan to still be able to work properly. If we look further down, I'm going to move the camera in quickly. If we look further down, you can see here what I said about this recess for the motherboard. Now, as I said, the motherboard isn't full ATX, but this is the area on the other side of the case that protrudes more, and then all your cables kind of go around the outside. But we've comfortably got the AX 1200 watt power supply in the bottom, with the individual cables from Corsair. You've got the rubber grommet there, which is the perfect kind of lineup for the AX 1200 watt, or like the other AX series power supplies like the 650, 750 and 850. And then you've got 3 more sets of grommets up the side of where the motherboard area will be, to poke your cables back through, so you could have your power cables and stuff coming through this way, GPU cables in this one, and then easily get your 24 pin out of this one, and there's more than enough room. If we look to the left and up again, I'm trying to do this all with the camera in one place, you can see that the 4 optical bays are toolless. And if we come back down, these, as with the 500R, these hard drive cages are removable. You can basically just lose a couple of the screws. These are immensely tight. I think Hulk Hogan must have fitted these. It must have been Hulk Hogan or Chuck Norris. And these are removable. Now, I have removed there are screws on the other side. I have removed these already, but you could effectively remove this to give you a little bit better airflow, because you do get the case with 2 Corsair fans in the front, and you do get another one in the rear as well, but we remove that to fit the H80. So you can remove the top and the bottom ones should you wish. And it's just a case of a few screws to be able to do it, and they're all thumb screws as well. But if you've got weak wrists or something, you might want to get a screwdriver on them. Now, while I've got the case on its side, and I keep moving the camera all over the place, so apologies, but we'll have a look at the bottom. Now, these 4 thumb screws here are for the hard drive cage, and you will need to remove these if you want to remove the bottom one. But the reason why I brought you down here is this large dust filtered area, which covers the PSU vent at the bottom, should you use it. I normally don't. Or you've got this other vent here for putting 120mm or 140mm fan on to give you extra airflow. But the reason why I use the AX 1200 watt is to show you that the AX actually covers up the mount for this. If you were to use one of the smaller ones, like I said, the AX 650, 750 or 850, they're only 160mm long. So they'll only come to here, so you'll be able to use this fine. But with one of the longer full length power supplies, you will not be able to use this at all. Another thing that we can take note of while we're down here is the fact that there's some rubber feet. Now, they're not mega hard rubber feet, it's actually quite a soft rubber. When you put it on the case, when you put it on the desk, You can feel it squidge a little bit, but this is to help stop the case putting vibrations or anything like that down into your desk to stop humming again. And they've got another set at the front, and you can also see the vent for the front panel there. Now, I think I've covered pretty much everything. Obviously, that there is a 7970. If you've got a massively long graphics card, all you need to do is remove the hard drive cage and you won't have any problems with that. 6 hard drive cages in total. These are all tool free, and these have all got little rubber dampers and everything on them as well, so that you are yet more ways of keeping it silent or quieter if you've got mechanical drives. So yes, there we go guys, it's now time for me to get this all wrapped up and we can have a good old chinwag in the conclusion. Right then guys, moving swiftly on to the conclusion, and as I always do, I start with the award and then I'll explain to you why. I've actually decided to give this the Gold Award, which I know a lot of you have been saying recently, all we ever seem to be doing on the channel is golds and silvers, and that's because generally the stuff that is kind of lower down and not award worthy, I generally don't video, because I've not got the time to be able to do everything, and I don't see the point in flooding the channel with stuff that's substandard, because as we've experienced in the past, the substandard reviews generally cause quite a stir, and although they do get watched, I just can't be bothered with all the grief. So why have I given the 550D a Gold Award? Now, it does come in for what I would say is a silent case of this size. It's a little bit more expensive than I was expecting. It's coming in around the kind of £107, £110 mark. And there are other cases on the market around the £80 mark which will do the same job. But I've got to say the build quality is there, and there's still a lot of options. Now, with some of the other cases, you've not got the ability to be able to remove hard drive bays and stuff like that, so you could still technically use this as a gaming case if you wanted. Another thing I will say is that the front panel is lovely, but the only gripe that I've got with it is really quiet. If you leave all the panels on and everything, it is just amazingly quiet, but at the same time, because it's got all those panels to make it quiet, the airflow isn't great. So you've got this kind of trade-off. If you've got a really high powered rig or something like that, it's probably either not going to be the case for you, or it's going to run slightly warmer. I'm very much of the opinion nowadays that a silent rig is much more important to me than a few degrees here or there. If you did want to make it a bit cooler, you can obviously start taking the panels off that we spoke about, like in the sides, and add fans. But obviously by doing this, you're kind of going to be missing the point of the case, in the fact that by adding these fans and taking the panels out the side of the case and the roof of the case, stuff like that, that you're then going to be making it a lot less quiet. Basically, you're going to be able to hear those fans. I would personally have some decent fans in the back, or a decent fan in the back. Maybe change the front fans. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but I'm just saying if you were looking for a proper, trying to make it perform a bit better and have a really good rig, maybe change the fans in the front, and then have this set up as a silent rig. You can have, there's plenty of graphics cards out there nowadays that are really, really quiet but still really well performing. The Sapphire 7950 for one is just an epically cool card, yet still epically quiet at the same time. Power supply, if you did want to add an easy fan in, I probably would, and I don't normally use these, but I would probably favour maybe putting one in the bottom, because then that can pull straight from the bottom, and it's not going to be having to go past any of these like the doors or anything like that. But it will mean that you have to use a shorter power supply. But you could easily make yourself a really tasty gaming rig for this, or an absolutely silent workstation. Even with an air cooler or something on there, you could make this absolutely brilliant. So it's because of the thought that's gone into this, with being able to keep the H100 inside should you want to use it, the fact that it's got clip release panels everywhere, magnetic dust filters that you can take off depending on which way round you want to put the fans, the fact that the doors go on really well, and with the 500R they had big indentations in the side of the case. And this hasn't, but because of these click panels in the roof, it literally is, you can just line it up and then just push it on, even with cables slightly pushing over the side. It actually makes it a lot easier. So for the baby of the Obsidian range, I really like this. The 550 and the 650Ds are probably my favourites in the range, period. To the point where I may even say the 550D is my favourite overall. Because yeah, it's based on a great chassis in the first place. But so yeah, hopefully that's explained to you why I have like this, because like I've said many times in the past, I am a sucker for a quiet case. And 107 quid for this much build quality, with the fact that you could make yourself something that was practically silent, it was just brilliant. If they made a white one, even I'd use it, because let's face it, they've got to make a white one, because that would probably have got it more than a gold, really, because I do like my white cases. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So yes, hopefully that, I mean, you could even see there how easy that was for me to put the door on then. It's just, it's really, I'm trying to do this one-handed. I should really be trying to do it properly, shouldn't I? But that's it. And the fact that the door swings both ways, it's just, it's really nice. It really is really nice. So there we go. Hopefully that has explained to you, I don't know where my brain is today, so hopefully that's explained to you why I really like this case. So if you're looking for something, you've not necessarily got the hottest rig in the world, or you don't mind your temperatures being a little bit warmer, or you are looking for something that's proper quiet, not intrusive, perfect for those of you out there, and I know there are many of you that like a really quiet rig so that you can leave your rig on all night long, or you get fed up with sitting next to it when it's really loud, this could well be the perfect case for you. So, I'm going to love you and leave you. This is Tiny Tom Logan with the Gold Award winning Corsair 550D out. Stay tuned for the outtakes. Outtake!